Welcome back. Following devastating heavy rains and floodings that battered the eastern coast of South Africa last year, during which many lives were lost and many other people were left homeless, the South African Red Cross Society hit the ground running, providing a multitude of supportive services since day one. Nearly a year later, South Africa's Red Cross has mobilized and availed funds for cash and voucher assistance for provinces for provision as relief to the 2022 flood victims in KwaZulu-Natal. With more on this, I'm joined by Siyabonga Hlwatshayo, pardon me for the mispronunciation, the South African Red Cross Society KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Manager. A very good morning to you, Mr. Siyabonga. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning to you and the viewers at home, and thank you for hosting us.
All right. Kindly just talk to us about the situation, how it has been since April 2022 up to date.
The situation has been quite devastating and very testing, and we have been working very hard to try and support those that were affected by the floods. We had our response in different phases where we were looking at an emergency phase, a rehabilitation, as well as recovery phase, which is where we are today, because this was quite a disaster of a huge magnitude. So we had to do all that we can to try and support those that are affected. So we are still walking the journey with those that were affected, providing different services, the psychosocial support, tracing families, continuously providing relief that is very much needed, and also looking into many projects that are going to ensure that there is recovery, independence, and people's livelihoods are also revived.
Now, Mr. Hlwatshayo, it's nearly a year since the devastating floods in KwaZulu-Natal. How many people has the flood affected throughout the province, and also what impact did these numbers have on the works for you and your team?
In total, in the province, it is the numbers are the families that were affected are more than 120,000 that were affected. So this had a huge impact. Usually, we have our contingency plans where we always prepare ourselves for disasters. But this was beyond what we can be able to respond to. This was beyond our contingency plans, and it has been very quite strenuous. But we have been able to mobilize resources, as this is the second batch of cash and voucher assistance that we are going to be distributing. The first one was distributed in May, and the second one we are distributing now. We have been out doing all that we can to try and mobilize resources. We have been providing relief continuously in a way that we have supported even small businesses, about 30 small businesses that we have supported. And also some people have been moved to waiting houses or shelters. We continue to support them where they are, just as we were supporting them while they were still in the shelters. Now they have been moved into like houses, like individual houses or individual rooms. We are still continuing to support them because some of them, their livelihoods have not really been revived again. So they are still depending on donations and support.
All right. And when do you think the situation will become better? When do you think everything will go back to normal?
I think it would take a bit of time because, as I was saying, serious damage to infrastructure that the floods caused. People lost their jobs, people lost their businesses. So it's still going to take time for people to fully recover. Hence, we are still there, and hence we are also taking the route of now how do we have projects that are going to be self-sustainable, involving the communities to ensure that they fully recover on their own. We are also trying to engage them with sharing of information just to capacitate them on how they can build back better and contribute towards the recovery of the whole society. If I may mention a few projects that we are embarking on, we have identified a number of areas where we are going to be drilling boreholes as in many areas, the water supply was affected by the flood. So we've identified a number of areas where we are going to be supplying water. We have a number of food security projects which are actually operated by the community members, especially those that were affected, and we are supporting them with ensuring that the land is available. Any equipment that they would need to work on that land, we are providing all of that, and we are continuously providing skills, training them, and supporting them into ensuring that they remain independent and they can operate on their own. We have other bakery projects that we are supporting, sewing projects. So all of these projects are actually directed at supporting those that were affected by the floods.
All right. We understand that the Red Cross Society raised approximately $2.3 million to come to the rescue of these people. Talk to us about this.
Yes, we have been out with our partners, which is the International Federation of the Red Cross Society, engaging different donors, mobilizing resources, as we are one trusted national society, and we have been doing justice in terms of delivering services to the community. So we have been entrusted with this amount of money from partners like your American Red Cross Society, UNICEF, UNDP. So they've come and joined hands with us, and they've provided the relief, and we are distributing the relief to the most affected communities. We have been having our volunteers on the ground that have been going door to door, profiling these affected people, ensuring that the relief is going to the right people. It's been quite it's been quite a work because we started profiling since November last year to now, where we are having the list of rightful beneficiaries that are going to be benefiting from this cash and voucher assistance. Yeah. And also what we are looking into with this cash and voucher assistance is that for a very long time, I think we have been supporting communities in terms of what we think is what they need. But now we are saying, let's give them cash so that they are able to prioritize their own needs and be able to attend to what they feel it is their needs. And we are going to be supporting them and also injecting funds into the affected community, affected economy of the communities, as there's going to be a cash flow as to the cash that we are injecting into the communities.
All right. Now, approximately how much are people getting? Are they getting the same amount? And also, is some of this money being used to build new infrastructure for these families?
Yes, some of them, they are planning to rebuild some of their properties, and all of them, they are receiving the same amount of money.
All right. Now, as devastating as the floods were, they left lessons learned by all, whether directly or indirectly touched. What are some of these lessons for the South African Red Cross?
Okay, first of all, it is to learn of the current state of the world, actually, if I may say that, because we are looking at, we are suffering from the effects of the climate change. So the Red Cross has embarked on some projects that are working towards efforts to minimize the climate change, also to always expect this huge magnitude of disasters, where we are also looking at capacitating our staff and volunteers and capacitating ourselves as the national society in terms of our contingency plans and being able to respond and deal with such disasters. And also another lesson that we have taken, actually, as I am a disaster management practitioner, one of the lessons that I have taken over time is that I think poverty is in the center of the disasters, as it exacerbates vulnerability towards many disasters. You'd learn or notice that in many affected communities, it's those communities that are actually living in informal settlements. And those are the people that are actually coming to the cities for better opportunities and work opportunities. And then because of not being able to afford the life in the cities, they end up residing in in the informal settlements, which are very, very vulnerable to disasters. Seasonally, we are always noticing that during fire season, they are the ones that are mostly affected. During the rain season, they are the ones that are always affected. So it's a lesson that we are taking, but we are trying by all means to engage government, to engage with them as to how can we ensure that we minimize their vulnerability and exposure to disasters.
All right. Mr. Khluchayo, any parting thoughts before we let you go?
I think the world needs to continue to join hands and avail support towards those that are vulnerable and affected by many disasters. And also not only in terms of maybe providing donations, but in terms of capacitating, providing skills, and also trying to change the mindset and grooming, especially the young people, the young generation that are growing, as that would ensure that in the near future, we build towards resilience and independence also, so that we do not always rely on donations. That way we remain independent as communities.
All right, Mr. Khluchayo, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we wish you all the best, and hopefully everything goes back to normal soon.
Thank you very much.
All right. Siyabonga Khluchayo, who is the provincial manager of the South African Red Cross Society in the KwaZulu-Natal province, talking to us about the heavy rains and flood that that happened last year in April 2022 in South Africa in the KwaZulu-Natal province.